Okay, my name is Charles Sine. Good morning. Today's workshop is on detoxification, which is a metabolic process. We are running this series of workshops and we're glad to invite people who are watching online. I'm the CEO of Anti-Fragility Health. We have these workshops every Saturday and you can check it on our Facebook Live or on YouTube, where we have videos of all the workshops we've been running. Thank you. And the reason I chose this topic today was because we've been feasting.
We ate too much.
Well, we ate. Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, too much for Thanksgiving.
But also, detox is also a spiritual issue as we get ready for the new year. So the detox is not just the removal of toxins, but it's also a spiritual renewal as we get ready for next year, as we want to review and be grateful for the blessings that we've had this year, but also take stock and cleanse as we get ready to celebrate Christmas and move to the year 2020. For the first time in a century, we have a year called 2020. The last time we had a letter like that was 1010. So today we are focusing on detox, but before I get into detox, I want to put detox into context. Many of the people who are watching online have complained that I speak too fast, I didn't know I speak fast, and that they struggle to comprehend where I am, where I'm going, where I'm coming, and what the topic is about. So I want to put detoxification in context so that we really understand what detox is about. So I'm going to start with what we call, and I repeat this all the time, the causes of chronic illness. Can you get me a pen that works, please? We're going to start with the causes of chronic illness, right? What's the first one, Kim?
Stress.
Stress.
Inflammation.
No, it's stress.
Okay.
Yes. What's the second one?
Infection.
Infection.
Infections. What's the third one, Elizabeth?
How many is it? We talking about 7?
Allergens.
Yes, allergies, yes.
Allergens. What's the fourth one?
Nutrient?
Nutrient deficiency.
Deficiency.
Oh,
What is
deficiency.
nutrient?
Nutrient deficiency. What's the fifth one?
Can that be hydration?
No.
No. Oh, the sugar thing.
No. It's
Fatty
it's
Sounds like
it's our DNA. It's the
okay.
DNA. Oh, yeah.
Genetic
deficiency, genetic risk.
Causes of C-
What else could you think about?
lifestyle.
Which is stress, isn't it? Like,
Yes.
More than that too.
Mhm.
Lifestyle.
Look at it. We have stress, we have infections, we have allergens,
Sleep.
we have nutrient deficiency, we
Sleep.
have genetic. No.
That's my choice. Relationship is choice.
It's the topic we're addressing today, toxicity.
Toxicity, oh, okay.
Indeed.
Okay? So, the interesting thing about toxicity and the context in which we're going to put it today is that we're not just going to stress on toxicity, we're also going to look at these things. Because some of them, as we know, people have persistent infections that don't go away.
Yes.
We have things like biofilm. You know what biofilm is? Is bacteria creates this
Outside.
cover that protects it from the antibiotics that we use against it. So it creates this shield. And so this biofilm is in our mouth, in our gut, and it also goes into our bloodstream and hides inside our organs. So a lot of people have persistent things like candida, like UTI, or mouth sores, persistent infections that don't go away. So we'll talk about some of that. We have products around that. So these chronic illness causes How do they show up in our body? We talked about this before. What is the context? When we say they cause chronic illness, they actually show up because we cannot measure stress. We cannot measure infections. We cannot measure allergies. We cannot measure nutrient deficiency, right? When we talk about clinical biomarkers, how do these things show up in our body?
Like a chronic cough?
No.
Your stomach.
It's something that supports that chronic cough. What is it? It will show up as an immune imbalance.
Oh.
That's the imbalances we talk about, the clinical imbalances.
The 7?
Yes. Thank you, Kim. So we have, one, an immune imbalance. Because what happens is that, and we'll talk about the other 6, when these things get into your body, that's the effect they have. They lower your immunity. It's not that they actually cause illness. When they lower your immunity, that's when other things come in. Is that very clear?
Yes.
And that's what toxicity does when it goes into the organs. Yes, because now the body knows this is a foreign agent, so it's distracted from doing its main job because it's now distracted by these things, right? We also have cardiometabolic imbalances, we have GI imbalances, we have stress, our stress response imbalances. 5, we have hormones. 6, we have energy. And 7, the big one, what is it?
Isn't that your sugar, your glycogen?
No, it's tied to that.
There's a name for it.
It's pain. It's musculoskeletal imbalances. Musculoskeletal imbalances. Those are the 7, right? Because you know Kim was talking about inflammation. That's where it shows up, right? All these things would then cause issues that show up in terms of pain. And these are the things that we can measure.
Yes.
We cannot measure these things. We measure the impact that they have in our body. Is that making sense?
Yes.
This is where the clinical biomarkers show up, right? Your blood pressure, that's a cardiometabolic measurement. If it's too high, too low, we know there is a cause. Then we go back here. And the cause typically sits in here. So when we create what we call lifestyle attributes or design attributes, the lifestyle is a way of reducing these things so they don't cause that. So when we are talking about sleep, about good nutrition, about hydration, exercise, it's how we can combat these things. Is that making sense? So it doesn't show up as these imbalances. I just wanted to start with this context so that when we talk about detox, you can see, because this structure is what we call our chronic illness disease model. The causes, the imbalances, and the lifestyle attributes that deliver superior biological function. These are the 3 most important things that I teach about. So this middle one, when we do all your clinical issues, this is what we're looking at. Okay, are we very clear? And it's in a lot of the handouts that we provide. It talks about this very clearly. Okay? Any questions on this? So now let's talk about detox. So when we go into the topic of detox, toxicity affects everything here. Because these are foreign agents. It affects your hormone. It affects your energy.
How did the toxin affect the hormone?
It affects what we call the biochemical pathways. It goes there, and because if you, it's too deep.
Okay.
I'm not going to go into the deep. You ask deep questions, then when I go in deep, you say, oh, but that's too deep.
No, because I thought the hormone was affected by your imbalance, your estrogen, your...
Yeah, but those are the hormones. Okay. How the hormone runs. You know, I've given you slides on that before.
Yes.
It's affected by toxins. Yeah, toxins go and invade what we call the biochemical pathways.
Okay.
Right? Say, for example, if you were boiling rice and I put too much salt, the rice doesn't come out tasting how it should.
No, because it'd be too salty.
Exactly. That's how toxins affect the overall process. So it's a chemistry. Our whole body is a chemical process. Everything is chemistry. So if you put too much of something and too little of something, you know, that's the challenge about how God created this amazing architecture. Blood pressure
Not too low,
has
not
to
too
be
high.
120. If it's 110, it's too low. If it's 130, 140, it's too high. Blood sugar between 70 and 90. If it's too low, it's too bad. You see the point. So that tightness, that ability to maintain that kind of closeness, it's the hormones that really drive that architecture to maintain that tight, what we call a tight specification of where things need to be, high end and low end, where we have control limits, right? So now let's talk about toxicity. It's the same thing. There is nobody who's toxin free. So when we run your toxicity report, typically what do we run to find your toxicity?
Urine. The urine.
Why do we run your urine to find toxicity?
Because that's where what the toxic come out. extract.
Louder, let me hear
Because
that.
it through your kidney, then when it come out, when you go.
Good answer. Kim is on top of the stuff, right? So that's why we use your urine to determine your toxicity levels, right? We're not going to read everything, but so let's look at the first definition of what a toxin is, right? A toxin itself does not describe a specific class of compounds, but rather something that can cause harm to the body. Specifically, a toxin or toxic substances is a chemical or mixture that may injure or present an unreasonable risk of injury to the health of an exposed organism. The National Cancer Institute defines toxins as a poisonous compound made by bacteria, plants, or animals. It defines a toxicant as a poison made by humans or that is put in the environment by human activities, right? The first table that you see right there, it talks about clinical symptoms and conditions associated with environmental toxicity. That table on your right-hand side. So just go down that list. It affects everything. You see that? Cancer, fatigue, fertility problems, that's what I meant by hormones, fibromyalgia, headaches, joint pain, kidney dysfunction, memory loss, panic attacks, Parkinson's. It goes on and on and on. That's how challenging toxins are to us. And a lot of people don't pay attention to it because the disease hasn't showed up yet. And for a lot of people, if you are really not detoxing, that's why detox is a really big topic now that is emerging in functional medicine. So let's look at the common classes of toxins. We have industrial chemicals and combustion pollutants, right? Most of us who live near the freeway and don't have air filters in our bedrooms are breathing that air from the freeway all night. That is the fact. Pesticides, the big challenging one. So even though I go to the farmer's market, I still do not have evidence that they don't use pesticides. That's the real big challenge about our food system. So you know, a lot of people walk in here and tell me that, oh, but I eat healthy. If you don't have evidence about these things, what is healthy? Then let's look at what we call endocrine disruptors. This is a really very dangerous one, right? It's on that second page. These are the things, what they call the phthalates, right? These are the plastics, PCB, the bisphenols, right? There are pesticides, there are synthetic steroids in meat. You know, all these people eat McDonald's and all this food that is recomposed. and DDT. There's a lot of stuff in there, and these are endocrine disruptors. Biologists have long noted problems with sterility and malfunction of sex organs in many animals that have been linked to the presence of these contaminants in the environment. This is one of the challenges why there's a reduction in fertility across the world. Men are getting sterile, and women are also getting very sterile, right? With all the challenges that these disruptors are causing. And these are very difficult disruptors to even identify. When you drink water from plastic bottles, you're getting that, right? When food is heated in plastic in the microwave, all of that is getting into your food. Let's look at toxic metals, which is one of the ones that, so when we run your urine, we look at all these things, the levels inside of you. Let's look at toxic metals. Lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, and other toxic metals are ubiquitous in the environment. You know, I like it when they use big English words and the people viewing, what is ubiquitous?
Hidden?
No, it means it's everywhere.
Everywhere. Oh.
Yes, it's like lead. All tap water contains lead, right?
Yeah.
Swimming pools and all of that. So these things, mercury is everywhere. Cadmium, arsenic, they're all in little amounts everywhere in the pollutants around. Then let's look at food additives. This is really the other dangerous one. Even Korean food that I thought was safe has a lot of color additives, right? And preservatives, and then drugs, right? The greatest toxin exposure by far is through the oral intake of foods, drugs, and water containing toxic substances. So when I talk to people about water filters, air filters, and really working on your food to reduce toxicity, that's the point I'm making, okay? So let's just walk through this. I know it's kind of technical, but it is a very important subject that we really comprehend appropriately. So there is a toxic load, and there is a storage of toxins. So when we look at all of us have toxins. You cannot be without, because we live in an environment where there's ubiquity, right? I use that word again. What's the meaning of that word, ubiquity?
Everywhere.
Thank you. Now we learned a great English word.
I learned a new word.
Right? It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere. Therefore, the question is your toxic load. What's the meaning of your toxic load? If it is everywhere and we're interested in your toxic load, what is your toxic load?
It's all the toxins together that are loading your body.
Good, not bad. I like it.
You
So-
tell each one of the words.
Yeah, so the FDA and other organizations have defined
How much is allowable?
exactly how much
Is
is
allowable.
okay. It's
Okay.
like your
But
speed
exceeding
limit.
that- Exceeding that.
Yeah,
means in trouble.
exceeding that means that you have problems.
Yes.
That doesn't mean, again, you know, this is the challenge I
It
have.
doesn't mean that it's safe, even though, yes, it doesn't.
No,
mean,
no. So hold on. The levels they have defined are for the population,
Yes.
not for the individual.
Like your age.
Yeah. So for you, for us in particular, when we are doing personalized medicine, your levels may be different from the population.
Depend
know,
on
that
my
is what-
allergen? Depend on my allergen?
No, it depends on your genetics.
Okay.
It depends on all these things. That's why vaccines that have mercury have a problem for certain people,
Yep.
right? And then there is the big hoopla about mercury. Mercury is necessary for the storage, the life storage of the bacterial virus that's used for that. Mercury is critical for that. You understand? And it's at a level that
You mean
most...
mercury is a good thing?
To hold the bacteria.
Yes,
keep it
if
alive.
not, how are we gonna keep live bacteria and viruses to give you a vaccine?
That's what they was talking about, the recent TB, the TB shot, that because it doesn't have enough to keep the bacteria alive. That's why it caused the infections. And what they get injection in the country, the TB shot.
They had issues
Yeah.
with people dying in the
The
Philippines.
Philippines. Because they.
So the thing is, and so that's the irrationality about this conversation about vaccine, when people don't understand the biochemistry of production and storage and distribution, right? We can stand mercury, but so how are you going to distribute the vaccine, right? So it is very important that we understand that some of these things are required for the storage of the live viruses so we can actually carry them, transport, and give the vaccines. Those minimum levels are still very challenging for certain individuals. That's the question. Should we ban mercury? We cannot, because it works for most of the people in the population. Do you see the point? That's the challenge with population medicine. And I've been repeating that again and again. It doesn't work for everybody. You know, all the time I draw this graph, right? My favorite graph from statistics, right?
There's an average.
We call it the tails. So this is the lower side tail, and that's the upper side tail. To some people, the amount of mercury is too much. To some people, it's too little. They take the vaccine, they still get the flu. Do you see that? But I took the vaccine. Why did I get the flu? Well, you're in the tail of the distribution. To some people, they die. It's too high for them. It's very important that we understand, because we are more interested in the 95% of people who are protected by that vaccine. Are we clear now? So whenever you're complaining about vaccines, you need to have context. All right? And if you're going to be in hospitals or walk around little children or old people, it is important to be vaccinated. Because if not, you can carry and you can make them ill, and they can die from that. So the toxin load is a very important. So now let's talk about we'll just read here quickly and get a sense of where toxins are stored. So removal of toxins from the body. Let's look at the first process. It's called a bioactivation. Are you with me? So most toxins are fat soluble. So they don't have a reactive site that will easily attach to a water-soluble moiety. Sorry, they're using too many big words here. So if you have, it's like when your stove is filthy with grease. You need a grease dissolving compound to remove the grease. You cannot wash it with water, it doesn't work.
It's not water.
And that is the real challenge that we have with removing toxins. So we have to use chemical processes, or what we call enzymes, that are going to break down. This is accomplished by what we call phase 1 enzymes. Phase 1 reactions are catalyzed by a number of different enzymes, and they go through there. 18 families of those enzymes that have been identified in humans, and each of these contains several subfamilies. You know, when we go deep into the biochemical pathways of the human body, there's strong confirmation for me that this must have been designed by some amazing creator. This is not biological accidents, right?
Really?
Look at the complexity of these enzymes that are supporting the detox process. Really complicated. So these phase 1 enzymes are localized to the cytosol of the cell and are regulated by receptor-mediated gene transcription. Now we're going deep, right? They have broad specificity and use the reduced form of NADH as a cofactor in converting the oxygen to the hydroxyl group so that it can become a soluble toxin. The result is a transformed toxin. This reactive hydrolyzide is very much like that of the reactive oxygen species. What is reactive oxygen species? We've discussed it in this class.
We did.
ROS. What is it? It is in the mitochondria. It is one of the byproducts of creating energy.
So it's released that toxin when it creates the energy.
No, it's not a toxin, it's a substance.
It's a substance.
They say it's like that process. That reactive oxygen species is very damaging to the cell. And that's why we use antioxidants to remove it out of the body. This is really at the core of what causes aging.
And the glutathione is the one that...
That's why we're going to talk
Okay,
about
I was just gonna get
glutathione.
on
So
that.
the use of glutathione
To remove
is
the
really to remove
the
the reactive
antioxidant.
oxygen species, right, out of our bodies. All cells have it. So if you're not taking antioxidants, right, like the MitoQ and all of those things that help with that process, then it compounds. And typically, early signs of disease is fatigue. Fatigue is the beginning, really, of most chronic illness. You start feeling tired. That's why most people drink coffee. Even though they've slept 8 hours, they still feel like they're not awake yet.
What was a habit, not because...
Oh,
I wouldn't
well,
identify
the-
that. I drink coffee every morning, doesn't mean I'm tired.
No, if you were not feeling tired, you would not even, there will be no trigger that you need coffee.
How about decaf coffee?
Well, that we're making excuses about our addictions.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the page where it says nutrients that support detoxification. And we'll
What
just
page is
run
that?
through.
That one.
It's on page 4.
Green.
Page 4.
Four.
Nutrients that support
On the right-hand side of page 4. Page 4. All right. The first one down there is fiber. How many of you take fiber every day? How do you take your fiber?
I take my fiber in a drink, it's a,
Yeah, what is your fiber called?
it's
I take metal
fiber, what?
There's the
She
metal
takes,
fiber.
she takes
Oh,
meta
okay.
fiber.
Yeah, I take, a
You-
fiber I put into my protein.
You
drink.
could take
What is it?
paleo greens, or you could take paleo reds,
There's metal
right?
fiber.
Or essential greens. So fiber is a critical nutrient for detox. That's the meta fiber.
Yeah, I take the metal fiber every day.
Number 2, proteins. You eat, how much protein do you eat every day?
I wouldn't know.
You eat protein every
I
day?
do.
Yes, I do.
Probably about 60 or 70 grams.
Oh, my
Okay.
God.
How many people take NAC, NAC?
What is that? I don't know what that is.
That's for your lungs.
Can we put a NAC on
That's
Kim's?
not that way.
recommendation?
But I don't know what that is.
Well, read it here. It's in the notes there in front of you.
Well, that's
It's a
what-
precursor to L-cysteine, and L-cysteine is a substrate and rate-limiting factor in the glutathione synthesis. So NAC is a precursor to glutathione. So it helps to build your own antioxidants in your body. A lot of people take NAC, and it helps, especially when you have phlegm gathering. NAC is very good for that, for people who have that like continuous production of mucus. On the other hand, supplementation of NAC replenishes L-cysteine and has been shown to boost the endogenous synthesis of glutathione. Another big English word. What is the meaning of endogenous synthesis of glutathione? I'm reading at the last line of that. What is the meaning of endogenous synthesis of glutathione?
Inside the cell?
Yeah, it means the natural process, right? It boosts the natural process. I take NAC. NAC is very important supplement to take. Then we have methionine, choline, B12, and folate. So methylation, which we ran a workshop on, and I'm going to run another workshop on, is one of the conjugation reactions of phase 2 detoxification, right? And we can go on, and that is why when you do sulfur clear and metallo clear, sulfuroclear and metalloclear, these two products support that methylation process, right? And then we have superoxide dismutase. This one is an antioxidant enzyme that is present in nearly all cells exposed to oxygen. That's why the oxygen chamber, the hyperbaric chamber that we're going to buy, is a very important issue. The Nobel Prize that was just won last year, or is it this year, was in the oxygen sensing capacity of cells. So the ability for cells to sense and absorb oxygen is part of their ability to repair and regenerate. So oxygen therapy is considered a very important therapy in healing, right? And also necessary. So let's look at some others. I don't know what this is. It's an ellagic acid. It's a phenol antioxidant found in many plants, like pomegranate.
Yeah, that's what
And may act directly against some metal toxides. You see that? By chelating the metal and promoting its excretion. Another interesting word. What is chelation? Chelation is a process of extracting the metal and binding to it. So we do IVs here for chelation. It's a much longer IV because it goes and it harvests all those metal that are hiding, binds to them, and supports their excretion, right, from the liver. So it therefore providing protection from liver damage and oxidative stress. Now we've encountered another interesting word. The first one was reactive oxygen species. The second one now I want you to take note is what we call oxidative stress. What is oxidative stress? Staff, tell them. Can you Google it and tell us what is oxidative stress?
We talked about that the last time.
So these are very important concepts. These are really core issues at the core of disease, especially cancer.
It's an imbalance between free radicals and antioxidants.
And?
Antioxidants.
Okay. The balance between free radicals. You know, free radicals are very dangerous things. They're like ruffians running around. And antioxidants. And they bind them to excrete. Free radicals are very dangerous in our body, because what they do is that they block certain receptors that in the biochemical pathway, and therefore stopping the natural process of the manufacture of a lot of things inside the body. So oxidative stress is one of the big issues in chronic illness. And therefore, if you take a lot of antioxidants, it removes those free radicals from your body. Okay, it's very important. Okay, we have green tea catechins. That's why most cultures that are focused on health drink a lot of green tea. Okay, so all of these are necessary. So now let's go to this last page where we'll look at in detail the color page, the three phases. The color page, this page. So let's look at the healthy side, and then we'll talk about the unhealthy function. The healthy function is on the left-hand side. A healthy intestine provides a barrier against many toxins. A healthy gut helps to eliminate toxins before they become transported to the liver. So what is a healthy intestine and what is a healthy gut? How would we know that your gut is healthy?
Unless you do a test.
No, you know whether your gut is healthy or not.
When you go to the bathroom?
Obviously, what bloating, gassing, cramps, hard poo, well, we have the Bristol stool chart. So, what happens if your gut is not healthy to toxins?
It reacts by.
No.
Okay.
Come right in. What happens if your gut is not healthy?
It's
The
a-
toxins go into your bloodstream.
Bloodstream, yeah, we talked about that.
So if your gut is healthy, right, that's why last week we had the GI lecture. A healthy gut is not an option. If your gut is healthy, then the toxins, right,
It's gonna be extracted.
will go straight through, or if they are absorbed, listen, if they're absorbed, then it will be eliminated by being transported to the liver and excreted. That's what our liver is there for. Okay? So a generation of, so the first thing that happens in phase 1 of detoxification, I know it's difficult to read, right? It's very small writing. It's a generation of water-soluble intermediates. So they move these toxins from being fat-soluble to being water-soluble, right? And then there is a neutralization in phase 2 of the toxic water-soluble intermediates, right? So stay with me so we get the flow of this process. Originally, they are fat-soluble. So the first thing we use those enzymes to do is to convert them to water-soluble.
Yeah.
But because they are water-soluble, they are still free radicals. They are still very reactive. So we have to quench that reactivity. If not, they'll bind to something else. That's what we're talking about, the oxidative stress and the free radicals. You really need to stay with me on this, okay? And so that's why typically when you're detoxing, there is a dangerous period when these toxins are released. So a lot of people get sick.
The flu symptoms.
Yes, people get sick. And so you need to be mindful that we do it gently. That's why typically we would recommend a 14 to 28 day detox. But if you go for a 7 or 10 day, you need to really be very careful, because if there are lots of toxins inside your body and they're all released, you could get very sick. So I have to give you that warning. Okay? So then the third is the excretion of the neutralized intermediates. And that's why you have to take all the nutrition that is required during the detox process to facilitate this whole process. The enzymes, remember, that would support, and the nutrients to bind and support this excretion. Is that making sense? Are we clear?
Yes.
Let's look at the unhealthy function. Ingested toxins and toxins formed as metabolic byproducts. I'm going to stop there. We have another big word. What is a metabolic byproduct? Because you know why I'm stopping and doing this? A lot of people who watch my videos say I use big words that they don't understand. I had complaints from Malaysia and China and Vietnam that the language is too difficult. What is a metabolic byproduct?
About processed food?
No.
No?
It's a byproduct of metabolism.
That's correct, but you're using the big language. So metabolism is the food being broken down and being absorbed.
Right.
In that process, they produce, because first of all, if there's poison in the food that you're eating, that poison is now released in the stomach. And so those byproducts, right, are also toxins. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for example, the pesticide is inside the fruit.
Yeah.
Yes.
When you eat the fruit, that toxin is released as part of the metabolic process because it now breaks down the fruit.
Terrible.
Now the poison, the toxin is life.
So that's
It's-
become a metabolic byproduct.
Correct.
That's what I'm
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a byproduct,
It's a byproduct
of the breakdown
the
process.
breakdown process.
All right? Of an unhealthy microbiota. And what is a microbiota? Your microbiota is the architecture of your gut, because microbes live in there, so they call it a microbiota. So if your microbiota is unhealthy, like they say here, it can leak through a weakened intestine That's leaky gut.
Leaky gut.
And transported to the liver. This can result in systemic accumulation and recirculation of metabolic toxins and contribute to chronic adverse health conditions.
So you have to always like get rid of it.
That's why we subscribe a daily dose of that,
Got it.
even plus doing the 3 monthly or 6 monthly detox. Daily, you have to be, okay? And so we look at the first process again. There's an incomplete generation of water-soluble intermediates, the incomplete neutralization of toxic water solubles, and failure to excrete none. So when we have an impaired gut, we have an incomplete detox process. Is that now very clear? As last week, and as I've stated again and again, a healthy gut is the #1 key foundation for good health. So when the gut is not clean, the detox process also fails. Is that getting clear? Right?
Yeah.
How can we start reducing our toxins exposure? #1, keep a clean work and home environment. That's why we talk about water quality, air quality, and just the quality of the food and things that you take. #2, protect yourself when needed, right? That's why you go to Vietnam, most of the women will wear masks all day, right? I see people riding motorcycles in the US on the freeway without a mask. So imagine all that air they're breathing. It's crazy, isn't it? #3 is to nurture to neutralize. What does that mean? Take the nutrients that are going to help with this process.
Organic food.
Yes. Right? So let's talk about the Veggie Cleanse Plus. I'll just walk you through the 14-day. It says reset the metabolic detox process. Why are they calling it a metabolic process? Because detox is part of the metabolic process daily. So why do we need to detox?
Because of the environment, all the toxins in our body.
No, that's
just
not
talked about
why.
that earlier
We just
already.
talked about
But
just now. Why do
Yeah,
we
but
need
that's
to
why.
detox?
Because otherwise the chemical that come out of that byproduct's gonna stay in your body.
That's not the first reason.
No?
No, because we have unhealthy guts. That's the #1 reason.
So you're telling me if we have a healthy gut, then
Very healthy. It will clean out all
by
the
naturally,
toxins.
that we
Yes.
did need to do the detox, is that what you're saying?
Yes. So if you have a healthy gut,
Then we don't have to do
which
detox that often.
typically it's for people who are young and healthy, their gut is still very good. So the gut cleans out everything. For those of us as we grow older, the gut is compromised. We need that extra support. Is that clear?
Clear.
On top of that, then we could do the extra detox that's required if things accumulate that we are not aware of, right? Because not everything comes through the gut. How else could we have toxins enter our body?
Air.
Lotion, makeup.
Exactly. So there are other toxins that don't have to pass through the metabolic pathway, right? That goes straight into our bodies. So we still need a detox process, but the first protection is ours. So let's just walk through the 14-day process. So the first part of the process is what we call elimination, right? See what is the first thing? Throughout the detox, you cannot have sugar.
Shit.
Better postpone it.
No, I'm not doing the veggie cleanse. I'm doing something else different.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I'm
matter?
using this as a general. It's the same.
It's the
Every detox is the same. I'm just using this
Oh.
as a general way to detox. No sugar.
And define the word sugar because
It really there. It really there. It
no,
says it there.
but fruit has natural sweet.
That's why you don't encourage you to eat those fruits.
So no fruit.
Blueberries. Or
As
Can
long
we?
as sugar.
Let's just look at it.
No blueberry.
Sugar in all forms, including sucrose, fructose, right? All of them. So that is why the only fruit that's encouraged is blueberries and avocado. That's it. Okay?
okay.
Then artificial sweeteners, for those of you who must need some sing on the side.
Stevia.
I don't do any of that stuff.
And then gluten-containing grains.
No wheat.
Yeah, now let's walk through the gluten-containing grains. Wheat, somebody said oats didn't. It's right there. Oats,
So no oatmeal.
rye,
Don't eat that. Wait,
spelt,
That's right.
wait, I didn't.
couscous, barley.
I thought rice is not gluten.
Did I say rice?
You just said rice.
I
You
did
said
it.
Rye,
Rye.
not
Oh.
rice.
Oh, rye.
Oh,
Sorry, I
okay.
apologize. Rye, not rice.
Okay, the one in the bread. Okay, okay.
So this includes, let's now be very specific, pasta,
Yes,
bread,
yes.
crackers, cereals.
Okay.
I see Elizabeth fainting.
I don't see
And
it.
products made from these grains. Gluten-free whole grains such as brown rice, wild rice,
Wow. No.
millet, quinoa,
Quinoa.
quinoa,
Quinoa.
amaranth, and buckwheat are allowable during the detox program. I didn't know buckwheat was gluten-free, but that's allowed.
You can have dairy products?
Didn't say that.
It says.
That's eliminate.
Oh, eliminate.
Yes.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
you cannot do dairy.
Yeah. All alcohol, caffeine, soy. We just found out you shouldn't eat soy at all
Ever. Never.
because it has those plant estrogens.
What happened with all the people with vegan, vegetarian?
No, you cannot.
You cannot.
No,
No
they-
soy
All
products.
soy is GMO.
Yeah, but people that are vegan, that's all they eat is soy.
That's their problem.
It's a problem.
They should deal with this. Why are you worried about them?
I'm
You're-
just curious, that's all.
Well,
I just had vegan food yesterday.
you should only worry about people who are going to heaven. Yes, don't worry about people who are condemned already. They're going to hell and that's not where you're going. Yeah, you could go save them
I'm
by
trying.
redesigning new vegetarian foods that doesn't contain soy. No dessert, Kim.
Oh my God.
No
okay.
chocolate.
I
No
have-
candy.
I have it at home. I
No
can finish
cakes.
it. Oh,
Yeah, finish it
I
before
gotta
you
finish
start.
it. I gotta finish it.
No cookies.
I need to finish it.
I'm waiting till the first.
No fried
I'm
foods.
gonna do that soon.
No hydrogenated oils. I hope you know what hydrogenated oils are.
Yes.
And no margarine.
Margarine, you mean?
Margarine.
This one is bad for me. No peanuts.
No, I don't care about peanuts.
You see, she doesn't care about peanut, but she cares about vegetarians eating soy products.
I'm talking about peanut. I didn't talk about you personally. So
Oh,
that's
no,
the difference.
okay, I get it.
Yes.
And then you have to drink enough water every day.
Yes.
Okay, so let's just walk through.
That's a lot of restriction.
And so you can see that they structure the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner, but we're going to go forward because not everybody does that. So let's look at the healthy food and snack options. That's what I wanted to really get to.
Okay.
Right? So they tell you the things that you can eat. And they have a lot of food here.
That's a lot of options.
Yeah.
On protein.
So that's one of the reasons I'm giving you. So plus the booklet. Did you pick up your...
I have my clear change, yeah.
Okay, so there's a booklet inside, right?
Yes, there is.
Yeah, so this
Wait,
is
but
this
it's
is
about-
complementary to that.
But look at the fruit I'm allowed to eat though.
Where?
Cherry, melons, peaches, tangerine, pears, grapefruit, kiwi, apricot, oranges.
I will encourage that you don't.
I mean, I'm just saying, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
really eat this.
And these are not really very sweet fruits.
But I can do blueberry.
Yeah, you can do blueberries.
I like that.
Yeah,
Okay.
just go light on it. And I would not even encourage coconut water, except
No, I
you're
don't do
actually
coconut
breaking
water
the
unless
coconut
I do
yourself.
fresh coconut.
Yes,
That
exactly.
thing is the bologna thing.
Yeah.
That's the thing, good.
But you see, the thing that I love, lemon and lime is there, and garlic is there, and you could do hummus.
I can do hummus?
Mm-hmm.
Good. But no cracker.
Well, and they
And
said,
no bread, how do you eat the hummus bread?
Celery with hummus.
Oh, no, I don't eat.
Celery.
I eat them with the pita bread.
yeah, but pita bread, is it made from wheat?
It's wheat, yeah,
Oh,
it is
okay.
wheat, so you can't do it, no.
And then they say you should add alkaline broth, right? Which is
Alkaline
that
what?
broth from vegetable, by boiling vegetables. You can create a broth. So 2 cups of celery, green beans, zucchini, spinach, all of that. And then place all the vegetables and boil it. And you would have what they call a broth, right? That's why actually in my culture, people would boil corn and drink the water rather
That's how
than
we do
eat
it.
the corn.
Actually, before you worry about the toxin, actually the corn husk
Yes.
is that's when you boil the corn husk, you drink the water, the corn husk that actually produce more, the husk.
Yes.
Yes.
So a lot of people
I think
boil.
we just take a paleo green.
Yeah, you can just, well, I'm just saying, you just take a paleo green.
Well, that's what I do.
Yeah. Okay.
Easier.
Okay. So there are lots of meal options
Oh,
there.
Hard-boiled eggs. Okay.
Lots of. And then let's look at this page 10, living a detox lifestyle. Notes on plastic. Never heat food in plastic.
Container, yes.
And you know that everywhere today we have plastic everywhere for food.
Even Whole Food use plastic.
Because they are not organic. Skin brushing.
What is
You
it?
need to use natural fiber,
Oh, for the shower.
yes,
Okay,
or
yes.
loafer.
There's
Because
other
you know
fibers.
that
The plastic.
the plastic scrubs actually plastic implants into your skin
No.
when you use
Yes.
plastic to
And you're gonna
scrub.
love it. You have to use the
Yeah.
organic one like bamboo. Yeah, you can't use the plastic one. Yeah, it's gonna get your bloodstream. Yes. And it's hard to find those things. It's not
Natural
easy.
one, natural
The
fiber.
one.
Where did you buy one?
I use the one that nature
Loafer.
store. The
Loafer.
loafer, you can use a bamboo one, but sometimes it's rough on your skin. Just use a towel.
Yeah,
just
use
cotton
towel to
and
scrub.
that's the safest one,
Yeah.
okay, that's it.
Clean water. We've already talked about filter water.
Yeah.
Even most of my staff don't understand this issue. So most people don't buy, or at least they collect water from the office and take home. But if you don't drink very good filtered water at home, you're just drinking toxins. Microwave ovens.
We'll use it.
Although the convenience of microwave is indisputable. What's the meaning of indisputable?
No argument.
Correct. No argument.
There's no argument.
This method of heating can disrupt chemical linkages in otherwise healthy foods and can decrease their nutritional value.
So when you put the food in the microwave, you reduce the nutrient in the food because
Correct.
of the, because of the
It breaks the chemical.
because the electrical wave, whatever
Yes.
it is that do that.
Heat on a stove pot or in an oven whenever possible and use a cast iron pan.
Yeah, not
Avoid Teflon
Teflon
and
is not
synthetic non-stick coatings.
good. You're gonna start with that food.
Exercise.
Yes, okay.
One of the best ways to increase your metabolic activity is to simply use your body.
Mm-hmm.
Daily exercise has great benefits, right?
Yes.
On the next page, it tells you some fun and easy tips for enhancing detox. Number 1 is to drink a hot water with lemon and 2 pinches of cayenne pepper first thing in the morning upon waking on an empty stomach. This is a very simple, but you would be amazed how many people
Well,
see
Elizabeth would like to do the second
the-
one. I know
I
you
like
do.
the first.
I think you like the second one.
The second
I
one.
don't have time for that.
Take a warm bath with Epsom salt
Epsom salt.
added to soothe, relax, and detox. Right? Try your own hydrotherapy in the shower.
What
By
is that?
alternating hot and cold. I do that.
Yeah.
You start with hot or warm, then you go to cold. Just keep turning the thing slowly. Then you come back to warm. Then you go to cold. This
Slowly.
stimulates circulation and your immune system. It's like it wakes you up.
And it's
That's
so
why I
bad.
don't need coffee. It wakes you up. It's a very good thing to do in the shower. Okay, this is not for the squeamish. Actually, nobody dies, as my grandfather said, from having a cold shower.
No, it's just in shock, that's it.
Yeah, but I
Die
do,
from that.
what I do gradually.
Oh, shock, you can die from that. Oh, you.
So we've had yesterday, or was it yesterday, we were talking to Elizabeth about silvercillin. I've had silvercillin also for a long time. And yesterday, for some reason, it just triggered me to look at it again. So silvercillin is really very important for removing biofilm and this resistant bacteria that doesn't go away. And if you go on Amazon, Dr. Yi always does this, go and read on the comments that people have about silvercillin. It's amazing. Some of the comments, people have solved UTI, candida, a lot of persistent infections that were not going away. So it's very important that you take silvercillin every day. And the way it is, go ahead.
Do you put that in your protein drink or just?
No, just drink. It's a spoon. You just take a spoon.
All right.
And the silver has been integrated into the water so that it's completely eliminated. It does the chelation. It goes and binds to the metals or toxins and then excretes them. You can read all of that. Okay? This incredibly powerful, non-toxic form of silver has broad spectrum effects and supports the immune system. It also helps the body maintain a healthy barrier against the intrusion of unwanted organisms. Unlike prescription antibiotics, however, silvercillin targets specific organisms while sparing the body's beneficial bacteria.
What does it look like?
It's a liquid. It's in a bottle.
Oh, the silvercillin.
Yes, silvercillin liquid. So you just take a spoon every day. It's very important for your bacteria. Okay? So if you don't have it, it's good to just have it at home and just take it every day, especially if you have infection that's not going away. Whether it's a rash, whether it's UTI, whether all kinds of little infections that people have. Okay? This is another one that I take, the BioDisrupt. Actually, it also comes with Research Nutritionals is very good about its microbial support, right? This is a comprehensive microbial support. It's a very powerful one. It also comes as a liquid that you can drop to support the organisms in clusters and biofilm so you can extract them out of the body. Okay? Is that clear? So I have a much more easier to read slide. Come and pass this, please.
I have a question when you're passing that. So while we're doing the detox, we still take our regular supplement and
Yes.
also the powder, whatever we're taking.
Yes. Yes.
That doesn't change.
No.
Okay.
Why do you think that does not change?
I'm just asking.
No, I'm asking because you need to understand why that doesn't change.
Because I still need the nutrient to support my
Correct.
detoxification.
Yes,
so-
because you are still alive. So you need the nutrients to keep you functioning as normal while you go through the detox.
So while I'm doing the detox, do I still take the Metaclear or the Sulfaclear?
Yes,
Still
every
do
day.
that?
Yes.
It says not to.
It says not to do what?
It says, while you're on you have very many nutrients in the cleanse, you may suspend.
May, but we don't recommend that you do.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't
I was
recommend
just
that you
curious.
do.
Okay,
Yeah,
just continue.
we think
Okay.
that the nutrient, the addition of extra nutrient helps boost the detox process.
Okay.
Yeah, okay? So let's just look at this slide I passed you. It's a much easier picture to read. It's a nicer picture of the whole process we've been talking about. So the reason I was giving you this was because I wanted to explain the things that happen from phase 1 to phase 2. So there's a lot of chemistry there for people who've done chemistry. There's oxidation, there's reduction, there's hydrolysis, there's hydration, and there is dehalogenation. These are all chemical processes that take the fat-soluble into the water-soluble intermediates. They call them intermediary metabolites. And look at the nutrients that are needed to support that, right? The flavonoids, the glutathione, the folic acid, and the B. You know why the B is so critical? So the more B and these nutrients you have, the more it's going to facilitate this process.
Is this
But then look at the phase 2 process and the things that are needed. A lot of stuff is needed, right, to support the conversion. And look at the chemistry that's going on. Sulfonation, glucuronidation, glutathione conjugation, amino acid conjugation, acetylation, and methylation. Acetylation, what we call histone acetylation, and DNA methylation are critical processes that support the issue of chronic illness. So this process is a very, very supreme architecture for clearing waste out of this biological architecture. It's really interesting the way God created this architecture for it to cleanse itself, right? It's like a waste system built inside our bodies, right? And then what does it come out as? Urine, bile, and stool. What happens to the bile? It is recirculated back to the liver. Bile is really precious. It is not excreted. Bile goes right back. Yes, if they see bile in your stool, something is going wrong, right? Most of the bile goes back to the liver because bile is really critical for this process. So let's look at, so you can now read the chemistry down there. The sulfation conjugates toxins with sulfur-containing compounds. High sulfur foods include cruciferous vegetables, and that is what the sulfur clear does. It aids this process with DIM, right? Then we have the glucuronidation. It conjugates certain medications, food additives, preservatives, reproductive and adrenal hormones, and bilirubin. Then glutathione, right? That's why we talk about glutathione. Then acetylation, it detoxifies the pollutants such as tobacco smoke, and then amino acid conjugation neutralizes and eliminates toxins by combining them with amino acids and protein from food sources. Methylation helps detoxify harmful estrogen metabolites, increases glutathione production, and repairs DNA damage, right? So we look at the different things that you should identify and eliminate: soy, dairy, and gluten, right? Increase fiber, prepare and cook your own food. I know Kim just deleted that.
Yes.
Limit sugar intake, right?
Yeah, I like the word limit,
All right, let's look at the types of
not
toxins
elimination.
so that we're very specific. There's environmental toxins,
Yes.
pollution, auto exhaust, solvents. You know, some people say they like the smell of new paint. It's a toxin.
That person just want to get
I
high.
like that.
Sorry, if you don't like the
It's
smell.
a toxin.
Really, you like the smell of paint?
Or paint cleaning products, solvents.
Oh, that thing is no.
Heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, insecticides, radiation, and inhalants, right?
Just
Lifestyle toxins,
oh,
dairy, dietary choices, fast foods, and fried foods. Fried foods are good if you fry them yourself in avocado or grapeseed oil.
yes, because the oil that you use, that's just the process that you do.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with fried foods, it's the oil.
How about coconut oil?
Yes, that's a high temperature oil, yes. Cosmetics, most people don't check the toxins in their cosmetics. I know on this one we're always gonna lose. Because women are like, I don't care.
That's not true. You can use cosmetic that doesn't have those chemicals. If you read
The question is the verification of that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
some of the reasons why the lipstick and things stick is because they have chemicals that have
Yes,
been
no,
attached
but
to
that's
it
why I
for
said the
that.
one that just like the forever one, no, I don't recommend it.
Yeah. And then nicotine,
Yes.
alcohol,
Caffeine.
we all drink a bit.
I don't.
Caffeine, prescription
I don't
drugs,
do that.
over-the-counter
I don't
drugs,
do that.
artificial food additives, colorings, preservatives, meats containing hormones and antibiotics, refined foods and sugars. Now let's look at internal toxins. That's what we're talking about. Bacterial, yeast, and fungal overgrowth. These things, that's what creates the biofilm. Byproducts of metabolic reactions such as carbon dioxide and ammonia, undigested food. That's why you need fiber to slow down so that the food is properly broken down. Stress. Was that stress you were releasing there,
Yes.
Tim?
Deep breath.
And then, this is the one I've been teaching my staff upstairs about forgiveness. Unresolved trauma or abuse.
Unhappy relationship.
Unhappy relationship. You know, when I added relationships to my list, people were like, why? Because it causes stress. If
That's
you don't
also-
receive an emoji every day.
But that's by choice though.
Yes. So we have this new antioxidant. Yes. If you read the reviews on this, it is amazing. Yeah. Any other questions, guys, before we end class today? All right. Thank you very much, Kim. Thank you. Thank you, staff. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.